Hey horror movie fans, I'm Dr. Will Carver, OMG, MD, coroner out of Bloomington, Indiana, and this is Dr. Carver's Auteur Autopsy. I'll be presenting a flick, hopefully, on the weekly, much like the horror hosts used to do on the electric TV gadgets and do now sometimes with various internet machines. Click, watch, subscribe. We're going to talk about movies of the horror persuasion until we are green in the face. Episode of Dr. Carver's Auteur Autopsy, I present to you an old favorite, Wes Craven's 1991 autobiographical pick, The People Under the Stairs. Combine Home Alone and Don't Breathe, and this is what you get. The film follows a young black youth named Fool who is in a bad way. His mother is dying of a totally treatable form of cancer, and they are about to get evicted by the slumlords that own their building. For those of you too young to remember, slumlords were getting a lot of press in 1991. Fool ends up joining Ving Rhames and a white dude on an attempted burglary at the landlord's home. Turns out the property owners are an incestuous brother-sister pair that have some weirdness going on, as they've been abducting children to raise as their own, only to mutilate them and throw them in the basement as they fail to live up to their unrealistic expectations. The burglars die almost immediately, leaving Fool to fend for himself in the walls of the mansion with the help of the couple's, quote, daughter, who so far hasn't disappointed them enough to cut out her tongue or anything. There's some nostalgia for this movie on my end. It came out when I was a 9-year-old autopsy prodigy in med school. At the time I loved it, but hadn't seen it since, so I figured it was time for a rewatch. While it wasn't as great as I remembered, it was still solid enough to recommend as an absurd cinematic experience. As for the goods, Wes Craven is great. It's hard to hack away at the master. The movie is way over the top to the point of hilarity that borders on slapstick comedy. I'd almost swear it was a Sam Raimi movie if I didn't know better. It's got great pacing, and the kid actor is pretty good for a child. And now for the bads. This movie doesn't know what it wants to be. Social commentary, creepy horror, zany slapstick comedy. Parts of the movie sort of drag on near the end as well. It's also pretty racist, but I give the movie a lot of passes for nostalgic purposes. The movie doesn't waste much time. Wes Craven is so good here. Just gets right to it with natural dialogue. Meet the protagonist. Fool is what he goes by. Poindexter is his Christian name. He's 13 years old and played by Brandon Adams, whose credits include the Michael Jackson flick Moonwalker, The Mighty Ducks, and The Sandlot. So he has a smart-mouthed urban youth market locked down from 1990 to 1994 or so. He and his sister, whom you'll recognize as the ethnic chick in the 5th Nightmare on Elm Street movie, The Dream Child, are in a pretty bad situation. Mom is sick and dying of a curable disease, and they are getting evicted. Ving Rhames is maybe the sister's boyfriend or something. It isn't super clear. Well, he has found out where their landlords live, and now wants to rob them. Once we get our first glimpses of the slumlords, we see it's Big Ed and Nadine from Twin Peaks, who have a daughter that they raise as a shut-in. She's crazier in this movie, slightly. But Big Ed is way more insane than his television role. This movie is basically what would have happened if the two had procreated in Twin Peaks. If you watch the show, you know what I'm saying. Pretty quickly, see something's going on with the daughter. Totally abuse her and all that. She's terrified of the couple. Bing, Fool, and this random white guy, Spencer, get it in their heads to go to the house to steal the money landlords are rumored to have. Fool tries to get in dressed as a Boy Scout, selling Boy Scout cookies, which isn't a thing to my knowledge, but is rebuffed. Really funny line here. Fool keeps on floating hypotheticals. Maybe this, maybe that, and Bing says,
maybe the president is going to make me secretary.
Which was golden and disgusting. Keeps it coming with his zany antics. Another zinger at Fool.
Too old to get, too young to get.
Classic Bing. Thinking Spencer is inside unattended and taking the booty for himself when Big Ed and Nadine leave, Fool and Bing break in and are immediately attacked by a Rottweiler. They subdue the dog and separate. Fool goes to the basement where he finds Spencer. His hair has gone white from fright, I guess. People under the stairs sort of come at Fool. The main kid under the stairs, an escapee named Roach, he's played by an actor you've probably seen from time to time in various infomercials and such, jumps on his back just to like freak him out, apparently. Not the way to make friends as Fool takes off. The folks come back and hilarity ensues as they release the dog, which leads to several humorous interactions it and failing. And grabbing an electrified doorknob while the dog is biting them to get the current going through them to incapacitate the dog. Anyway, the couple thinks Bing is alone at first and eventually kill him, but then realize that there's a third accomplice in the house. No dummies, they know right away it was the Boy Scout. This is where the movie really starts towing the line between straight-up comedy and over-the-top horror. Some examples are when Fool is getting attacked by the people under the stairs, who are basically a 90s grunge band. Roach scares them off by playing with Bing's corpse like, "Look at me, I'm back from the dead," prancing him about and such, making him look like a zombie. That is Fool's father figure, but he totally rolls with it and gives Roach a look like classic kooky Roach. At another point, the dog is barking, obviously because of Fool's antics, and Big Ed comes out and yells,
"Shut the f*** up!"
What the hell's wrong with him?
When I saw this in theaters as a child, it was the funniest thing anyone had ever seen. Now, Fool does manage to escape here, but comes back for the daughter. He also calls the cops. They investigate, but are easily distracted with snacks. Fool slips in during this idiot cop montage, and while sneaking about, he hears the parents talking about a bunch of BS in their room. Thinking the coast is clear, he tiptoes about the house freely. But surprise, the parents recorded the conversation during the day or something, and played it on a tape recorder just to fool him. What? This is insane and makes no sense. Did they like use their day to record a fake conversation in case Fool calls the police on them and sneaks back into the house? That is specific and odd, but the long shot pays off. What is awesome though is that Big Ed is wearing a gimp suit for no reason other than it's hilarious. Of course, Fool keeps breaking away, crawling around through the walls for another 30 minutes. At one point, they lift a scene straight from Home Alone, and Fool makes a bunch of noise in the chimney so that Gimp Daddy climbs in, looks up, and gets the inevitable brick to the face. He totally Home Alone you, brah. Needless to say, the parents eventually get theirs. The mom, who runs through most of the last 10 minutes screaming and running around with a butcher knife like a lunatic, takes her first blow when the daughter busts out of the ceiling out of nowhere like a maniac and smashes her face into the floor. She doesn't finish the job though. Mom is looking rough though. Fool, who talked the people under the stairs into helping him by basically promising them that he will help them score with chicks when they get out, are now all about helping. I can't believe they didn't make a sequel where this happens. The mom gets eaten by the people under the stairs, but not before she gets in another couple of minutes of running around screaming with the knife like a wild person. This movie was made by insane people. The ending involves this slick and sort of unnecessary and totally unrealistic trick with coins that is yet another Home Alone-esque gag. It takes place in this storage room filled with gold coins and banknotes. We're talking unbanked money everywhere. It's stuff to swim in Scrooge McDuck style. So what Fool does is he puts the coins in these candles, lighting them so that the coins fall as the candles melt, so that Big Ed thinks he is fingering the coins or something. The coins fall out at a rate of every 3 seconds, and with the more realistic 45 minutes. This leads to Fool blowing up the storage room along with Big Ed, the money, the TNT, and all that stuff. Money starts raining down from the sky. They practically call it a ghetto miracle. All the money is completely intact too. We also see the people under the stairs are loose and on a mission to score. Roll credits. I'm sure things end up going well for these people. All in all, pretty funny for a movie about mutilating children and confining a bunch of kids in a basement. So that's the first movie. Comment below to let me know what you think about this early 90s flick. I'll be back to talk about Return of the Living Dead next week, so look forward to that. I'm sticking with the classics here early. And please take a second to subscribe, as this is a new channel. This is Dr. Carver signing off, and if I see you, it's not a good thing.